My perspective on the paranormal is that I'm a believer, but it has to have solid, replayable evidence of the occurrence. My name's Tim Brown, and I've been gathering intelligence on the paranormal now for over 10 years. This bunker is probably one of my favourite locations of all time. We've had some fascinating things caught here and witnessed here by people over the years, including an actual apparition of a shadow man, a potential German soldier seen wandering the corridors of this bunker. There's some fascinating audio clips being collected here already, and it's great to be back here to try and get some more evidence on the corridors of this location. In terms of gadgets, I think there's a whole array out there, and I'm one that likes to experiment with everything to get some kind of result from it. An example would be, I like to know everything that's going on in the environment, so I want to know the humidity, the temperature, the air movement, all that sort of stuff as a base for an investigation. I want to see the video, I want to see as much of the location covered as possible. I want the audio, and I want the audio to be true and listenable to what actually the sounds were. I want, in terms of gadgetry for other means, I'm interested in the thermal imaging. Is there something behind the fact that there's a change in temperature, or potential spirits or ghosts are of a different temperature so they're visible on a thermal image? And that's a fascinating part. Also things like static. Measuring of static. People often say that when a ghost appears or they have an experience, all the hairs on their arms stand on end. Well, if you took a balloon and rubbed it over your arm, something similar would happen. So potentially can apparitions, ghosts, etc. manipulate the static in a room. So I like to look at static readings and stuff to see if there's any change in the environment with those. Theatres are notorious for being haunted, and when you think about the emotional energy that gets poured in on a consistent basis, there are always real hotspots for activity. And what's really great about this place is that quite often as an investigator you find reports of hauntings, but there's actually been no activity for maybe 5 or 10 years. This has such a consistent basis of very recent activity, which makes it incredibly exciting to be able to investigate.
Amy, what are you looking forward to tonight? What sort of ghost story is the one that sort of scares you or interests you the most?
I think, like you, it's the same one of down on this side of the one that was just the staring one, because that's so sinister. But as well, I'm really looking forward to going into the dressing rooms, because I've had a look in there, and it's that mirrors facing each other that really brings out that kind of, I've just seen a movement, but where did I see it from? Was it a reflection of something that's behind me, or is it something that was over there, and what have I just seen and what direction it's come from? I think that's a really interesting aspect of that room. And as well, up in the wardrobe, it being the highest point in the building, and it's quite secluded in terms of you've got a lot of corridors and a lot of exits everywhere else in the building, but from up there you're right at the top. There's very few ways of getting out. You're quite isolated up there.
Yeah.
So those are the two places I'm really looking forward to going.
Tonight, what's been quite interesting tonight is the repetition throughout the groups, and various people at various points have all experienced some very similar phenomena. There's been a lot of footsteps up in a circle. There's been a lot of bangs and noises, sounds of tables being scraped that have been heard by separate people from different locations. And so it's that kind of thing, the repetition of various phenomena that's interesting to look into.
My favourite form of evidence would clearly be something visible on video or a photograph, because that's fascinating. However, audio experiments which give great EVPs are just as fascinating and as compelling as the video stuff. In here, the experiments we've got running are, we have some popular German pin-up girls from the era of the Second World War, pinned with cotton from a ceiling of a room that has no drafts. It's just in the middle of the bunker. The hopeful thing is that we get some interaction and movement on these, and these are set up deliberately in view of the CCTV camera and on either side of the German Nazi emblem. What we also have running in here is some very targeted experiments. For example, on the table I have some Nazi coins from the period of 1941 and 1942. meticulously laid out on a piece of paper, touching lines that are on the lined piece of paper to hopefully get interaction. And the great thing about Nazi coins is they're all minted in different places throughout Germany, and each coin has a distinctive mark from the mint where it was minted. My question I asked earlier on was, can you interact with the coin that was minted closest to your home? On the table next to the coins, I have a device which, should anything come close to it, it will trigger off an alarm and a visual signal. Again, it's in view of the CCTV cameras, so should anything trigger that, we will see that on the footage. Also on the table, I have a device which is designed that if anything should drain its battery, and people talk of energy drains, etc., on electronics, so if anything drains the power that that device has got, it will then sound off of an audio and a visual alarm. And next to that I have a temperature pod, so if there's any change in temperature, warmer or colder, then it will also indicate us to that as well. Ghost Lens for me is about the evidence.